For great ideas and practical tools you can start using tomorrow to grow your business and separate you from the competition, you've come to the right place. If you're into B2B marketing and sales, then welcome to the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. With over 60 and counting total years in the trenches of businesses small and large, they have a plethora of knowledge and experience that generate you more leads, capture more clients, ring up more sales. Well, doggone it, just make you more money. How about that? Always thought-provoking, yet dubiously entertaining. Please welcome to their respective microphones across 3 time zones, your co-ringmasters, the Dave Loomis, and not the rock star, Steve Miller.
Let's do it.
All right, he said let's do it. So we're doing it. Hey, everybody. This is Steve Miller, better known as Kelly's Dad, marketing gunslinger. Never mind all the other stuff. Welcome to the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast. I think I'm good now. I think I'm good because I've now probably said it maybe 3 times in a row. I think that's a winner. So without screwing it up, and with me, the star of the show. I'm the Ed McMahon of this podcast, okay, and the Johnny Carson of this podcast, the star of the show. All right. The star of the show is Mr. David Mayo, the voice Loomis. Welcome, Mr. Loomis. Please say hello to your audience.
Hello. You didn't know this, but in high school, I actually did a great Johnny Carson impression. And it included when he came out, and sometimes he'd take the golf swing on the stage, and I would do this, and I would actually sound like him. And my parents watched Johnny Carson so much when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And my aunt and uncle lived in, one of their places was in the Jockey Club building in Miami. Okay. And the penthouse was owned by Ed McMahon. Oh. And we went up there one time, and he was there, and he showed us around the apartment.
No kidding.
Yeah, and it had
what a feller.
A window at the end of it that looked into the pool that was on the roof, and it was painted in all these 70s mod colors, and you'd go outside, and then you could look at the pool and see the window into the apartment.
Oh
yeah,
so
it was
if anybody
fancy.
Was skinny dipping, he got a good view, right?
He did, and I'll bet that happened. I'm just going to bet. I'm going to bet that happened.
I'm sure it did. I'm sure it did in Miami. Yeah, I'm sure it did. So with that blast from the distant past that half of you have never even watched Johnny Carson, that's okay. But with that blast from the distant past, let's go back to the more recent past, which was our previous episode.
I thought you were going to talk about Dave Letterman.
No.
Oh, okay.
We got to get going. We got to
get going here. We got to get going.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, Steve?
Well, last time, if you remember, we were talking about, we started talking about one of the chapters from my latest book, Stealing Genius, chapter 5, which I title, Charting and Orchestrating the Experience.
Is it choreographing?
I'm sorry. Choreographing.
Just trying to keep you honest.
I want to make sure I get the words right too.
I've got it right here. It's okay. Charting and choreographing.
Choreographing, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and but last episode we were going to do that, and then I got to talking, as usual, and we didn't get to the how-to tools part of it.
The meat of the stuff. Well, we got to talking because this is my terminology for and this is actually a good marketing lesson for people as far marketing and in particular a branding lesson, is that language can be used as a branding tool.
That's true. That's true.
So, for example, Starbucks, we didn't know how to order coffee until Starbucks taught us how to order a half half decaf.
Right, that's part of their brand was different
venti
words.
latte, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, different words.
Okay, Disney does the same thing. They don't have customers, they have guests. They don't have employees, they have cast members. And so as often as I possibly can, I practice changing common terms and into words that I use in my business. And so and a lot of the stuff that you read in my books, you'll see that I use different terminology, moose instead of target market, that type of thing. And so I took the pretty well-known practice that is called, there are two ways of naming it. One is mapping the customer experience, and the other one is mapping the customer journey or charting the customer journey or something like that. And I changed it into what I have in there now of
yes.
charting.
Chart and choreograph the uncopyable experience.
Exactly.
Chapter
right.
7.
So that's lesson 1 from here. Is today that you can use language to brand yourself. All right. If you get use certain language, get your customers to use that language, then you start to imprint yourself on their mind. Now, what do you remember that we talked about last time? So much.
Not much, to be honest with you. I just know that it was definitely on point, and it was probably, incredible level of wisdom.
Well, I know we actually shared a lot of good stuff, but what we said we were going to do today is we're actually going to talk about how you do. We talked about the importance of doing this.
We did, and we threw out some examples
to help you separate yourself, to not only understand, to try to walk in the shoes of a customer and a prospect. Now let me kind of add a little baseline here to this.
Mm-hmm.
In the common situation with when companies, and I dare I say even marketers, when they start talking about mapping the customer experience, they tend to look at it only from the perspective of when the customer starts making contact with them. Okay. And then, like they'll say, okay, when the customer calls us, or when the customer reaches out to us, via email or through our website or something like that. And that will be the beginning of that journey. That's the way most people look at it. The fact of the matter is there are three, shall we say, chapters in the journey. A chapter is before they meet you, before they contact you. All right, the pre-chapter. All right, and this is like, let's say, for example, there are essentially two types of prospects out there. Now, there's a difference between a prospect and a customer. Obviously, there's a difference between a prospect and a lead. For example, a prospect is somebody who fits the profile of your target market. So that might, and a prospect is, there are two types of prospects. There's one prospect who knows they have a need. Actually, there are three types. There's a prospect who knows they have a need for your type of service. Okay. But they don't know who you are. Okay. That's one. There's a second type of prospect who knows they have a need for your type of service. And they know who you are. Okay. And then there's a prospect out there who doesn't know they need you. They don't know they need this type of service. Now, when for the most part, that person is the hardest person to reach, is the person who we think everybody needs us. Everybody who fits the profile of our target market, we think everybody needs us. And that's a hard thing. It's not impossible. It's just a hard thing to do, because you have to start to do types of communications and marketing out to people that kind of wake them up to a need. All right. I'm not going to talk about that today. in this. What I'm going to talk about today is that somebody who knows they have a need. All right.
So we're going to include them as a chapter, pre-chapter.
It's like the pre-content
in this charting and choreographing.
Yeah. So somebody has a need, and they want to go online, and typically nowadays, if somebody has a need, what do?
Goes online.
And they Google, right? They go to Google and they start to ask questions.
Yep.
And then
YouTube.
And then or YouTube. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's solid point there. YouTube, which is the second largest search engine on the internet, coincidentally owned by Google, but that's another conversation.
Yes.
So with those people, what we need to look at, if we really want to look at charting this experience. And charting the experience is basically saying, okay, when they go, if we start at the very, very beginning, let's say somebody who just goes to Google and they say, where do I get an answer to this question? That is step one. Do you pop up in?
Right. So the experience begins, or it doesn't.
But that
you want it to start there.
And that's the thing, is that for most of us, we don't count that as being part of the experience because we don't really have as much control over that.
Okay.
But the question is, what? Don't we want to? I mean, that's where like SEO, things like that come in. Where
of course we want. Of
course we want them. We want to pop up on page one.
Yep.
All right. So, but so if we just simply look at it like, okay, somebody types in a question and you happen to be the answer for that question. Now, do you pop up on page one? Are you number one on page one? This is something that we have to think about. So, from an SEO perspective, we start to, what we want to do is, in charting this experience, charting the journey, we start there and we say, okay, that's the first step. That is the very first step in their journey of 1,000 steps. I mean, who knows how many steps it is, right? Okay. And then what's the next one? Well, the next step is then they have like the list of companies. All right. And then they are going to click on some of these companies. All right. And so that's the second step. And then the third step is they're going to go to the websites of some of these of some of these companies. And is there something that happens on the website that causes them to take the next step?
Yes.
Right. See,
hopefully.
And this is where we, and every single step that prospect takes belongs on the journey map.
Sure. Yes.
So when
we have control over some of those things.
Eventually you do have control if your page is the page they go to.
Yeah.
All right. At that point, you now start to have some control over the conversation, control over the experience for them, control over the conversation. And so what we want to do is we want to sit down and we want to take every single one of these steps that they could possibly go through up to the making the product, the decision to buy. I mean, every step of the way.
Yeah.
Now, go. You were going to say something.
Well, I was, so for those of you listening, unless you were hiding under a rock, we're recording this podcast actually at the end of December of 2022. And you will know that Southwest Airlines is in a heap of a mess and is not exactly choreographing the customer experience very well.
That's right.
I just thought I would throw that out as an example of obviously what not to do. But they may very well, if they could hit a reset button right now, they should be thinking about the first step and actually a lot of steps.
Well, you see, Southwest is a great example of the third stage. All right, I won't say chapters. Let's say stage. Okay,
sure.
The first stage is the pre-stage before they have contact with you. Okay, so they're gonna go through some steps. And are there ways for you to impact those steps? Okay, but then once they connect with you, now the steps are okay. And if we use Southwest Airlines as the example, it might be that they go, okay, I want to fly from Seattle to Palm Springs, or let's use an Eastern. I want to go to Cleveland. All right, Seattle to Cleveland. So now I'm going to go on and I'm going to look at all the different airlines. So I'm going to see all the different airlines. How easy? How expensive is it? How easy is it for me to get from here to Cleveland? All right. And then we go through those steps, and eventually I select one of the airlines. And now the next step is that I'm going to buy the ticket. All right. And now we start getting into the steps of they are now in the second stage, where not only do they know of you, but they are actually now your customer. And there are still steps they're taking, right?
Absolutely.
There's still steps that they're taking. And every one of those steps, and all the way to like getting their boarding pass ahead of time, going to the airport, checking in, going through security, going to the gate, getting on board, all that sort of stuff. And how do we choreograph that experience for them? And
I have a question for you.
Fire away.
Okay, so let's make an assumption. I was an economics major, so I always like assumptions. So assume that every airline that's a major airline has, at least written down these different touch points, and has thought about, okay, when somebody does this, this is what's going to happen. When somebody does this, this is what's going to happen. This is what we'll do, blah, blah, blah. Let's just call it a, baseline customer experience.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the way it is with all the people listening right now are in some business. And whatever your business is, you have a set of competitors, let's say 3 to 5 of them. And you can assume that they've thought about some of these things too, whether it's Google or trade shows or how to contact those prospects and get them in the door. I mean, not necessarily a physical door, but we might get to that. Yeah. So my question, and I'm sure you're getting to this, but our goal is not like, we want to chart this out. Okay. But that's just the first step.
Yes.
The real goal is to blow people away when they get in that process.
Right.
With multiple creative, innovative ways to that are uncopyable, that our competition won't do, hasn't thought of, or won't do, or if we do it first, there's no way they'll copy it because it's like, oh well, now we do it, and so
bingo.
Right. We really want to use this charting as a stimulus to differentiate ourselves, but not just a little, a lot.
Well,
right.
Okay. All right. So yeah, you are 100% correct. See this process that I'm talking about right now, everybody should go through this just to put yourself in the customer's shoes. And I mean, every little step that they take, standing in line to get their, I don't know, for some, standing in line at the airport, I mean, everything that they're doing
everywhere
that has your brand imprinted on it, they are thinking of you. All right. So now, once you've got this whole list, and it can be quite extensive, it can be a long list of steps. Now you start to take a look at all right, what are you, you look at you versus your competitor in every single step. What are you doing? What are they doing? Now you said you said an interesting thing, that you said we want to differentiate ourselves from somebody, from the competition, because people don't buy from you because you are similar to the competition. There is some kind of difference.
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
And so the question is, which, what, as you're going through these things and you are comparing yourself to the competition in each one of these steps, the way I look at it is I look for steps that are meaningful to the customer in their experience. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then I look for ways to be different, uniquely superior to the competition. That's what I do. All right.
Right.
Now,
if I go into a Best Buy, if I think of a Best Buy store to get or let's just say AT&T, an AT&T store, which I go into, which is kind of funny because once
they're
in a
terrible.
While, oh my God. So
they are terrible. I am that same. Yeah,
there's a whole bunch of people. So the store is probably not all that well marked from the front. I walk in, nobody looks at me or says anything. They're all busy because they're with other customers doing stuff. So it looks like there's activity, but you wander around aimlessly, and then you see an actual sign-in list that you have to sign with your name in pen to say the order that you got there so that they can get to you whenever. And you go and you look and you see, oh, this price. You have no idea what any of it means, or the rebates that you're just sort of lost until somebody helps you, and then they help you, and then it's slow, and then, yada, yada. And you bring up the Apple Store in your book, which is such a great contrasting example.
Right. Well, I use the Apple Store, even though Apple, in most business books, Apple is, they're one of the ones that everybody uses, right?
Sure.
But the way that I use it is in this discussion is what is when you go into an Apple store, compare it to an AT&T store. Number one, somebody greets you immediately when you walk in and wants to know, is there something you're looking for? Do you have an appointment with a genius? How can I help you? All right. Now, they're not a Walmart greeter. They are actually there to help you. And if you have a Genius Bar appointment, they log you in, they take you back. They show you where to go. There's a specific place for you to go, and they guide you there. And then they say, Dave will be with you, as soon as possible, or Dave will be with you within a couple of minutes or something like that. They always give you the name of the person who's going to come talk to you. All right. So if that's not what you're looking for, if you just say, oh, I'm just coming in to look around, and they go, hey, have at it, pal, go have a good time. Right.
Yeah. Let us know if you need something.
Yeah. And even, now when you add to that if you're an AT&T store, number one, that doesn't happen.
Oh God, no.
No, it's terrible. And when you do put your name on the piece of paper, if there is one in the store you're in, then you will start wandering around. And yes, they have products on display. They're just for display. In the Apple Store, you are encouraged to hang out and play with the toys.
Yep.
You can put your hands on any product in there, any computer in there, any laptop, any iPad, anything like that, and play with it. while you're waiting to be served.
Which also accentuates the user friendliness of it.
Bingo.
Because when was the last time you saw a manual for one of those products? You basically turn it on and figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's part of the beauty of it.
Yeah. And they just, and they're happy to let you just go in there and you just play with it. Right. Okay. So
right.
see, this is a great, these are two great, contrasting examples of companies who are ostensibly competing with each other to sell the same product.
Yeah. Right? And one's doing it in a completely generic, unremarkable way. And
right.
one's doing it in a remarkable, uncopyable way.
And that's okay. And this is why I call it number one. You start with charting the experience. You start with charting it, and the chart can be really long. I will go into, consulting situations with clients where part of the discovery process with me is mapping is charting that, right? Is the old mapping, right? Is I'll get up there with the flip chart and we start just going through all of the steps. Now, here's the interesting thing is that with most companies, the steps are really far apart and they're really big steps. And I keep reminding them, you know what? There are little steps in between these things. Mm-hmm. Okay. And here's what I love. One of my favorite sayings on the planet is, it's never the lions and tigers that get you in the jungle. It's the mosquitoes. So I like to look for mosquitoes. And
the little stuff.
The little stuff that is annoying. Details. It's annoying. And the Apple Store does it brilliantly because what's the little stuff that, and it turns into big stuff. See, what's the little thing about the AT&T store is that the mosquito is, I have to wait. And that's it. I have to wait.
And I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait.
All right. And what am I supposed to do while I'm waiting? Okay. So, and at the Apple store, I have to wait. Oh, look at all these toys I can play with.
Right. And they'll probably tell you exactly how long or approximately how long
they'll try. Yeah, they will do their best. Which
by the way, is psychologically is proven to reduce stress when someone is told the amount of wait that they are going to have.
And even better,
they don't even care if they have to wait 15 minutes. If they know it's going to be 15 minutes, it's set in their head and they're fine with it.
And even better is the Apple Store does this brilliantly. And I know there are other companies that do this brilliantly as well. Is they say, it's going to be about 20 minutes. And you go, okay, 20 minutes. I'm going to go kill 20 minutes playing with the toys. And 10 minutes later, they come and they go, oh, we're ready to talk to you.
Oh, oh my gosh. You exceeded expectations.
That's right. That's right. That is choreographing the experience. All right. See, that's what I mean. And that's why I say this is so powerful. This is such a great tool for helping you to separate yourself from the competition. Such that, I mean, this is so strong that it can actually eliminate price from the conversation.
Sure.
When I say that, like that people don't buy from you because you're similar to the competition, all things considered, when a prospect is looking at your company compared to everybody else, if they cannot find anything that separates you from the competition, then price becomes the deciding factor.
Yeah, race to the bottom.
Race to the bottom.
Yeah, you don't want that. But those little mosquitoes can add up. If you turn the mosquitoes into little I don't know, gems of
gems, diamonds, gems, whatever you want to call them. Okay.
Heck,
let's
the
come
same
up with
size.
let's come up with our own language for it. What would be a great? I don't know, but that's
What's
a great
the
point.
opposite of a mosquito? A butterfly. Turn them into butterflies.
Turn into butterflies, or I don't know, but a butterfly that's a good start. See, that's a really good start. You turn it into something that people they just think about it and they go, you know what, boy, I'll tell you what, that experience was so good.
Yeah, it was.
And it doesn't matter whether you are selling consumer products. I mean, we are talking about our target audience here is our B2B companies. Now, and I won't name who it was, but recently I took a company through this, and they sell a customized product. It's they build to the specs of a customer. Okay, everything they sell is customized. There is no production line, right? And the product that they ultimately deliver is a multi-million-dollar product.
Okay.
And I took them through the same thing, and they were able, they took this process, looked at, something as simple as like for example, in big business, in business that has things like this, people might want to come to your facility, for example. They might want to see how your manufacturing is done. They might want to see how products are designed. They might want to see that. Okay. So now, what is one of the steps? One of the steps is they have to get to your facility.
Okay.
So let's say they fly into your town the night before, and then they're going to come and see you. They're going to come and see you in the morning.
Yeah, tell them to take a cab, right?
Take a cab or an Uber. You don't tell them anything. You just say, okay, 8:00, right? No. My new client sent a limo to pick them up, take them over. All right. On the way, the limo, and this was instructed to the limo driver, ask them if they'd like a Starbucks, or something like that. Did they eat? Did they, do they need something? And somebody said, Starbucks would be great. The limo driver took them to the Starbucks and then brought them over. And they said, well, are we going to be late for our appointment? And the limo driver said, they know you're with me. Everything's fine. And they walk in, and and now they've had this. They've been taking this the little simple thing.
Stressless, but it's you have to think about it. It's doing things intentionally, like on purpose. This stuff is not going to happen by mistake.
Yeah, that's right. And it's not the same. Okay, I'm going to cross a line here. Okay, it's not the same old shit.
Wow.
That they go through
strong word
with everybody else they've ever worked with.
Yeah. Right? No, it's not. It's different. It'll be different.
So that is the point of this whole thing, is that, see, people often say to me, how do we separate ourselves from the competition? How do we separate ourselves from the competition? I say, well, number one, first of all, you have to see where you're competing. You're not just competing with your product. You're not even just competing with this broad perspective, this broad definition of what is this word? Customer service? What the hell does that word mean? It doesn't mean anything. It's a vague generality, And so you start to look for the mosquitoes. You look for the mosquitoes in the relationship building process, or the relationship building. Dare I say the word that is multisyllabic? Continuum. They are going through a continuum.
Great word.
And you find something in there that you can do so differently from everybody else that they can't help but notice it.
Yep.
And then you are able to separate yourself. And as my compadre said much earlier, that when you do stuff like this, number one, this is where the word uncopyable comes in, right? So now the question is, can your competition copy this? How easy is it for them to copy? Well, number one, if they do copy you, will it be so obvious to the prospects, to your marketplace, that they are copying you?
Exactly.
All right. Which means that you are the leader. See, in the mind of the prospect, it means you are the leader.
Right. Like here's a great example is in 2000, way back in 2008/9, when there was a financial disaster and people didn't want to go buy cars because they thought they might lose their job. So Hyundai said, hey, if you lose your job, you can bring the car back.
Full refund.
Now, that was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, with a full refund.
With a full refund.
Full refund.
But nobody else did that, because if somebody else did that, they'd be like, well, that's ridiculous. That's just Hyundai did that. And so you're just copying them. So no one else did that. Also, it's like, okay. It's they won't copy you. And see, in a case like that with Hyundai, it was, Hyundai was taking this big gamble of saying, hey, we're on your side. They already had a 10-year warranty.
We're on your side. Okay.
Yeah.
And we want to help. We are on your side, and we are willing to, we're going to put ourselves in the same situation with you. If you're okay, we're okay. If you're not okay, we will help you. Now, and the message is, look, you think this is helping Hyundai? No, because we have to take your car back, and it's now a used car. And it's, so anyway, I mean, you get, this is all like this subconscious,
but you can't find those mosquitoes unless you chart it all out. Right? How do you find the mosquitoes?
That's right. How do you find the mosquito? You have to chart you have to chart every freaking step of the way, because you're going to find
some. Yeah,
you're going to find some gems in there. You're going to
turn it into butterflies. Turn it into butterflies.
Turn them into butterflies.
Then you have the butterfly.
I want a better word than that, but it's the word right now. It's the word right now.
Dragonflies. Dragonflies are cool.
No. And if anybody listening to this has a better word, let me know. I'll tell you what. I promise you, I will reward you.
Wow. Okay.
I love language. I love
free copy of the book Stealing Genius.
More. I'll give you more than that, because this is huge. Language is so huge. The language you use and separating yourself from the competition doesn't have to be, a moon landing, a moonshot. It can be something really, really simple, like just picking up the prospect from their motel in a limo, not an Uber, in a limo, and taking them to Starbucks on the way and then dropping them off. And I mean, it can be just so simple, but so powerful. That is charting and choreographing the experience. And that helps you separate yourself from the competition.
I love it. I think we should just put a nail in that and
put a nail in it, put a pin in it,
take us out of here.
Get us out of here. I want to get off my pedestal.
It's been a beautiful pedestal. We have enjoyed it very much. You all have been listening to the B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast with none other than Steve Miller, who is not the rock star.
Not even close.
Right? Not even close. Well,
I met him.
I don't know. You're kind of close. Actually.
I met him once.
Kind of close. Kind of close.
You hear that alarm? Did you hear that alarm?
Are you going to Pilates?
No, it means I have to go check on my cat who's outside in his tent.
Okay. Sometimes the cat is next to you making noise.
I know,
which we all hear blaring in the. All right. This is the voice, Dave Loomis, signing off and wishing you all, when you're listening to this is a happy new year.
This is a happy new year. Okay.
This is our last podcast recording.
We are recording this.
2022.
We're recording this, 3 days before.
Whatever year you're in right now, we hope it's happy.
We're gonna help you kick butt next year.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We're going to find the mosquitoes. And on that note,
boomga.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the one and only B2B Marketing and Sales Podcast, the source for B2B marketing and sales insight. If you enjoyed the podcast, please be sure to subscribe and leave these old guys a 5-star rating. Check the show notes for any links and contact information. You can always contact us by going to b2bmarketingsalespodcast.com. Thank you, and keep on marketing, keep on selling.